Here we are on another Natter That Matters, because all conversations count, those inside your head and those outside of you. And today, outside of me, but definitely in my head, is the lovely Tanya Gordon. Hello.
Hello, lovely to be here today.
Be here. Do you know what? Every time I record one of these, I have a good old natter that matters before we press record. And I think, oh, we should have recorded this. We've just put the world to rights, haven't we, in a massive way. Welcome to the show. Really interested to hear your business journey. And I love the title of your business, Many Hats of Business, because absolutely there are many hats, aren't there? And I don't think many people realise how many hats there are. I just recorded a podcast with someone else who was talking about the difference between our employed identity and our self-employed identity. And I said, are we doing this for 3 days? Because there are so many differences. So I'm pretty sure we're going to have a chat about that. But why don't you introduce yourself and let everybody know who you are?
Absolutely. We could do a 24-hour marathon. And I think there's quite a lot of people in this sort of world that could, isn't there, really? Because, there's just so much to talk about. But yeah, I'm Tanya Gordon. As you said, I'm from Many Hats of Business. And for me, it was just a bit of a light bulb moment with that. And that there are so many hats. And I think people come out of jobs, corporate jobs or jobs in general, and they don't realise just how much there is to do as a business owner. And then, of course, add in all of those personal hats you're wearing. You might be a mother, wife, you've got a house to look after. It's just elderly parents. You just don't know. There's just so many hats. And I think we don't cut ourselves slack. And I think that's the interesting thing. And even for me recently, I've said it to you because you've heard me talk about blogging before, and I've said the words, I'm the least patient person in the world. So if I can do it, anyone can. And then only this week I was like, I'm not the least patient person in the world, because I've been in business for a very long time. So I must have a hell of a lot of patience, because it takes a long time to, and you come up against so many problems and you don't feel successful even if you are. And then you think, okay, I've been being harsh to myself for no reason.
A long time. Being harsh to yourself for a long time as well. Absolutely. Do you know why that is, though? It's interesting, because this is really the podcast I just recorded with somebody else. It's because our beliefs don't change. Our belief is still, we are the person who started that business however many months, years, decades ago. And so until we upgrade those beliefs, we still believe we're that person who couldn't make the first sale, or somebody complained when they sent an email, or they, you have to troll on the post, and all, like you say, all these challenges we have as business owners, they all stick with us as little bits of that kind of your brain is taking with you on that journey. So it doesn't matter how successful you are, you still have those little nagging things unless you sort them out. So yeah. So how did you get into your business? Tell us about you. How did you get into the journey from employed? Assuming you were at some point.
No, so I've got a manufacturing business which I've been running for 15 years, and interestingly, what you just said about the identity thing, it wasn't really until I started mentoring others that I actually started to give myself credit for the knowledge that I'd built up in those 15 years, because it was a long time. And, you do just face so many problems along the way. And I put a post on Facebook about it the other day, actually, about being careful what you wish for in business, because people think it just follows a natural path of growth for so many people. And invariably, then the business starts to grow, and they don't like it, really, because they're not doing the thing they actually started it to do. They're essentially end up being a manager for loads of different staff, and it's the hardest part of business for so many people. And it's possibly one of the reasons they left corporate in the first place, because of all of the politics, the people, some of it's sometimes the problem they had in corporate, they create in their own business because they've just followed this trajectory that everyone follows.
Honestly, you're so talking my language. My second business, I did exactly that. My first business I was quite lonely in, a very successful £250,000 business, literally from home. Very, very successful, but I was very lonely. So the next business I started, a recruitment agency, exactly what you just said there. So I loved it to start with. I was talking to candidates, so I was talking to clients, I was matching the two. They were like, oh my God, you're amazing, you've changed my life, you've changed my business. It was great. I was like, oh, I need to grow it. because somebody somewhere said that you've only got a successful business if you've got premises. So I'm like, well, I can't have premises with just me, because then I'm still bloody lonely. That's not going to work. So then I started hiring people. Then I started losing my profit to paying those people. So then I was skint. I went through all these journeys you're talking about. And eventually I had a team of 6 people. And I remember being in the office thinking, yeah, well, I'm just managing these people. I'm just managing their shit problems. I'm just managing crap clients' problems. I'm just managing things if they can't recruit. I basically have become bad customer service and a manager of people. And I remember one particular day thinking, I was like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years in, thinking, I can't do this anymore. I just can't do this anymore. What are you going to do? Because you've got, like, you can't go from having a £250,000 business to no business. What are you going to do? So I basically took my opinions and my energy elsewhere and came out as gay. So that's not ideal, honestly, not going to lie. That's not what I suggest to anybody to do. But it was a distraction. And I remember coming kind of back from that part of the journey thinking, right, now you've got to sort the business out. And I was quite lucky, just to kind of give you this, because I didn't make the decision. I wasn't brave enough to say, do you know what, I'm going to close this business and do something different. British BT did that for me, and they ported out all my phone numbers once into my VoIP system and made them internet numbers. So we had no phones and we had no internet. So I had a team of people, and it's pretty important in recruitment having both of those things. So I had to send them home, and we had to set them up at home. And so we did this. And then I thought, well, I don't need the office anymore. And I think because that had been the thing of that's why you've got a successful business's offices, that I didn't need the offices anymore, which was a massive overhead, as you can imagine. And then I thought, hang on a minute, I don't know what these team people are doing anymore. I've become so away from it all. And actually, I don't want to manage people anymore. And one by one, I placed all these people in jobs, made money out of them, and ended up just me back where I was before. And that's when I started coaching, because essentially I started to really talk to the business owners about what was going on. And somebody would ring me and say, we need to recruit a salesperson. And I'd say, tell me about the rest of it. Oh, you don't need a salesperson. You need somebody to do X. You need somebody to do Y. So that's how it started. So yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about there, where you grow a business that you don't actually want to be in anymore. And I have recruited lots of people into places. I remember once there was a guy who had an accountancy firm, and he had 60 accountants working for him. His name was Carl, and he rang me and he said, I need you to recruit me an MD. And I said, how come? He said, because I don't want to be the MD, I want to be an accountant. And so we recruited an MD. So this is exactly what you're talking about, isn't it? Yeah. So
yeah,
how did you...
And that is unusual, isn't it? Because usually people, like, they become the MD and they don't get to do the thing they wanted to do. So it's great that he took the step to go, actually, get someone else to do that, because I'm a good accountant. I might not be a good MD. And people do need to be aware of that. But obviously the problem is when you start talking about these big hires, they're expensive. Whereas it's much cheaper to hire an accountant than it is to hire an MD. And that's why people get stuck in this position of loneliness at the top and power that they didn't actually want.
And don't believe they've got anyway either. They don't want it, they don't believe. So they're really out of alignment, they're out of authenticity, which we hear a lot. But when you really live it, you really get it, don't you? They're not just words in posts, they're real. Yeah.
I'm a chartered manager, so for me, like, the lucky thing is I am quite good at managing staff, and it's not it doesn't faze me. It's something I've always kind of done, but it's not necessarily a usual route for people in business.
No, usually VAs, isn't it? They're the first. When we're a business, it's typically a VA or some sort of contracted kind of person, so that because we're not sure. that's typically how it works. But they're quite costly, aren't they, compared to having a member team? So yeah,
definitely.
What does your business do? Tell us about what Many Hats of Business does. What do you help people with? I know parts of it, obviously, but no one else does.
Yes, well, so at the moment I've been doing a lot of work with people on getting their websites working for them, because it's a pet hate of mine that people have websites built at great expense when they start out because they need one, and then they expect to get work because they've had a website built and no one's done any SEO on it. It's not optimized and Google doesn't know you exist, so no one else knows you exist, and then they end up flogging the social media horse, which they don't like anyway. So it's
pretty much describes the whole marketing journey for many people, I reckon. Tanya, hit the nail on it.
Pretty much. But for me, the reason I know a lot about it is in the manufacturing business. I was 19 and particularly shy, which people don't know necessarily if they know me now, but it was in the days really where it was off you go cold calling. And what we did, it's in an industrial business and anyone can use our services. So I was literally going to have to walk around industrial estates and speak to people, and nobody even knows what it is. And you just, it was a hard no for me. It really was. So I thought, well, if people could find me while I sleep, this would be much better. So it's been a massive part of our strategy forever. I still get paid work from blogs I wrote like 10, 12 years ago. So it's like the longevity of it is amazing. And people just aren't aware, and they're not aware of how easy it is. So that's why I'm doing that. And one of the benefits of me helping people is I don't do a blog writing service. So there's no benefit for me of holding back any information because I'm not going to do it for you. And I'm not saying that other people necessarily do, but there really is nothing, I'm not holding back. I am one of those people, I will give you everything. And sometimes it's probably too much, but you get it anyway. So yeah, I'm working to make that nicely manageable for people at the moment. And we're doing a full day training in a nice place to do that so that you can go home with a well-ranking blog written and a couple of hours in the spa afterwards to reward your efforts. So that's that at the moment. But in the long run, later on this year, I'm bringing out a mentorship program with a few others where I can't really say what I wanted to say actually because it's not, I can't word it properly. But basically, there's an element of individual coaching, well, mentoring, and a group side. So they're getting bespoke mentoring, like some other well-known companies that are franchises, which is what I was going to say that I can't say. But yeah, similar to that with a group element so that it's actually delivered well instead of, it's not cookie cutter.
Right. That's very ambiguous. I'm trying to work it out myself. I'm like, I wonder what she's talking about.
Yeah, well, it was a well-known large franchise that I couldn't really name that I thought I can't really say that. But yeah, it's we've got a shortened version of it that I said we can't use the initials because people will ask us what it stands for and we can't say it.
Okay. So anyway, as you can hear,
taking action.
Tanya's got something going on that's quite exciting, but it sounds like it's all under IP wraps at the moment. So yes, I'm sure we'll watch it all come out.
No, it's coming out, but the theory behind it is very much that you're going to get personalised mentorship alongside the support of some group and accountability stuff.
Well, if it's what I think it is, and I think I've got an idea just by one of the words in there, then probably need a mindset coach in there because none of that goes on in their organisation, let me tell you. So because I've been their mindset coach for some of their top people. So yeah, if you haven't got a mindset coach, let's have a chat. Anyway, most definitely those blocks that people have stop them from doing stuff. So it's not just about skill.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's about mindset. So cool stuff. So you're going to be collaborating with other people by the sound of things. Is that right?
Yeah, which is it's interesting for me because my dad was in a partnership and it didn't work out, and he'd been bussed because of a partnership before that. And it's interesting because now I'm like, oh my God, I'm braving it. And it's interesting, and it's completely different dynamic for me. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it is a dynamic. I've just helped one of my clients start a not-for-profit essentially, and of course there are people involved in that, so it's not just her making the decisions, and that dynamic is very different. Having to, when you're your own business, you can just make a decision, take action, can't you? Whereas actually when you've got other moving parts, it's very tricky. Yeah. And trusting the people that you're going into business with is really important as well. The value sets, the trust, and contracts. That's all I'm going to say to you, quite frankly. Got some very tight contracts because there's so many going, yeah, no, we've both got the same value set, we all want the same things. Yeah, no, we'll see, let's see. Honestly, I've seen some real car crashes. I'm sure you'll have all that sorted, I feel quite sure.
Yeah.
Fabulous. So your journey, what was your biggest challenge, do you think, so far, all these years? What was the thing that was a real challenge, either physically, emotionally, mentally, financially?
Staff.
No, come back to the staff. Yeah,
and of all the problems, we've had loads of different things over the years that go on, but staff, I've had a couple try and sue me over time, and that's the norm now. But it takes time when you haven't got time.
Yeah.
And it's personal. So, you know, and like, I think people don't appreciate often as a business owner how much we do care. I've been before at my Christmas party with everybody, and I've sat and looked around the table and just suddenly had this like, oh my God, your bills rely on me.
Yeah.
And, you know, everyone else is enjoying themselves and having a Christmas party, and you just have that moment of like, oh my God. And it is a lot of pressure when you're taking people on because their bills do rely on you. And I think it's good to care at the end of the day. I do think it is. So yes, I think staff is the problem, because also it's an ongoing problem because staff change. At the minute, I've got a really, really good team. And it's really nice. But
Me too, actually. My contract team, but yes, absolutely makes a big difference when you can rely on people and trust them, most definitely. And if you can't, then it's painful, very painful. Touch wood, not had anybody sue me. So touch wood, I mean, it's not a case of if, it's typically a when, isn't it? When you're going to have a problem with a member of the team. Yeah.
oh yeah, and then to be fair, when they're freelancers, it's not so much, you know, and ours have been, you know, when I got rid of someone and they just didn't think I should have been able to, whereas you don't have that with freelancers. And he was wrong and I was right, which I knew, but it still took time. And, you know, when you get these scary ACAS letters and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely horrible. So I think we know what's next.
Yes, we do. The mentorship is coming in September. So for me, it's been quite a slow burner, because even though I'm not a patient person, supposedly, clearly I am, and I've been watching for a while and figuring out what I want to do and doing it slowly and properly. And like I say, I've been doing this other stuff first with the blogging, because I'll carry on doing that. For me, with the whole many hats thing, the idea is we learn some of the skill, well, we learn all the skills we need, and then we decide what we're going to delegate, whether that's outsourcing or getting someone in to do it, so that it takes some of the pressure of the hats away. But it's like when you go back to that, when you buy a website, you don't know that, a lot of people don't even know that it needs to be optimized. And then the web developer doesn't sell you that because they don't do it, but you didn't even know that it was missing. So that's that thing about building up the different skills that you need. And it's the same in accountancy. You know, there's so many people just automatically trust what an accountant says, but if they haven't got any base knowledge, people get it wrong. And
But of course,
not all accountants are made equal.
Oh, and also your accountant is looking at that part, unless they are a white, an organic business kind of accountant. They're looking at that part. They're not looking at all. In fact, I took on a new client yesterday, and she was saying about how she has no faith in her website. So I probably need to send it to you actually, because somebody built it for her, and she provided all the text, and they said you can't put all that because it's not good for SEO. So they basically ripped out all of who she was, so that they could put what they wanted in it. And now it doesn't feel like her. She said she's going in and she feels quite, she's secretly changing bits. It's almost like, that's not how you should feel about your website. Like your website should feel like who you are. That, and it might, even if I said to her, even if it drives traffic, the traffic is going to be cold because there's no feel of you. There's no warmth in that. There's no warmth in the website. And I thought, oh, that's a good blog. I'll probably write that one later. But yeah, there has to be you in there, doesn't it? So it's exactly the same. So that web designer probably did a great job of whatever they thought they did, but they didn't look at the rest of the picture of the business and the person and the objective of that person. So yeah, it's a tricky one. We listen to experts, but they are typically then just experts in that bit. They don't really care.
That is really true. And it's funny because obviously with the world of niching, you're not allowed to not niche, but I'm not niching. And essentially I am a business GP, and you can't be one of those either, but I am, which is fine. Because I do look at the bigger picture, because that's where my experience is. And like, I came into this from being a finance manager. When I took over the engraving business, it wasn't standalone and it couldn't survive on its own. If I hadn't had the finance manager background, that wouldn't have worked. It was that knowledge that helped me, and that's where I see that the knowledge that you build up is really important. And then you get a better relationship when you delegate out anyway, because you know what you're looking for, you know what you need, which you can't before you know. And that's the thing with me with the lead generation side from Google. I've had 3 children in the time I've been running my business. I never wrote a blog in any of those periods of time when I was after, on limited hours after I had a baby, because I didn't need to. I didn't do any sales work because they came into us from Google, or the new ones. You give them a good service and then they stay or they recommend you. That was our whole sales strategy for years. You just had referrals, repeat custom, and new people from Google. It was as simple as that. And when you are busy trying to do other things, it's a perfect way for bringing people in. And that's why I'll keep doing that, because it's so easy for people when they know, but they just need to build up all of those skills. I'm not saying you've got to do your own blogging forever, but at least then when you go, okay, I'm going to get a copywriter to do some blogs for me, you know what to talk to them about and make sure it's included.
Well, and you value their time and the bill, actually. I've done lots of email marketing over my years, and actually funnel creation I can do, but oh my God, it takes me a long time. My brain hurts. I get too involved in it. I put too many words in it. So actually, I really value the member of my team that does that part. So, if they'd have said to me, oh, this is my hourly rate, and I didn't understand the work that went on, I thought you just creating a few emails and sticking them on a site, I probably wouldn't have understood the value of that. But because I understand how long it takes me, when they give me the bill, I'm like, actually, I think you're cheap compared to if I was doing it, that would be like 10 times the bill. So I think we understand the value of things when we try to do them. And I think copywriting is an interesting one, isn't it? Because most people think, oh, you're just going to write some copy, it's going to take half an hour, whereas actually sometimes this stuff can take a lot longer. There's research goes involved. So I think you're right. If we've at least tried or have learned or done all of the key elements of our business, we really value the people, and we can notice the people that are good at it or not, on the whole. Sometimes.
Yeah, definitely.
Not always.
Sometimes it helps you identify problems quicker as well, because otherwise, at the end of the day, whenever you've got something going on in your business that is affecting it in a negative way, really, the sooner you can deal with it, the better. And I think a lot of us struggle with that, myself included, because I always see the best in everybody. I want to give people many, many chances. But at some point, you do have to just, it's the business, and it's that thing as well where when you've got a team, it's also affecting other people. It's not just you that it affects, it's affecting other people's income if you let things go on too long.
It is, yeah, nip it in the bud. So what's the big plan then, Tanya? So obviously September, there's a plan.
Take over the world. No, not really. Do you know, I want to actually keep it quite small. Because
do as well, otherwise there's a little mismatch right there.
Yeah, true. No, I think we're all kind of quite aligned in the living, like how what business has got to work for our lives.
Okay.
So we want it to be personal as well. So on the one where you get the monthly in one-to-one coaching, we're probably only going to have 20 spots, because that's what we want. And even on the tier without that, we're not going to have loads of spaces, because it's like I've got a Facebook group. I don't actually invite people to it very often because I quite like it. I think there's about 170 people there now. And of course, some aren't active at all. So essentially I end up with this group of people I talk to all the time, and I'm like, I like them. It's nice. So, for me, I've never been that bothered about having a 7-figure business. And it's something it's almost that practicing what you preach thing for me. So because of having a background in manufacturing, and it bespoke manufacturing at that, with a very quick turnaround of a couple of days, we get completely randomized stuff people will ask for, and they want it within a couple of days. There's no way of automating it. There's no way of getting them to order it in a certain way. I've been working hard over the years to try and improve all I can, and I do geek out a bit over process improvement. So, I'm pretty good on this. You can't make it any easier than that. But because I've always done that bespoke element, I like it. And that's what I want to help people with. And I think a lot of in the online world, a lot of the customer experience gets removed.
I agree.
It's something that I'm really passionate about. And I think with the rise of AI and things like that, yes, use AI if it on the bits that's beneficial to your business. But I think if people are being very personal, they're the businesses that are going to really thrive as this happens, because people will start to switch into more everyone being the same. It's all going to be a repeat of everyone else with different branding. And if you're doing something and it's very personal, whatever field you're in, it's going to make a big difference for you.
Well, a bit like we were talking just before we came on, and although I use AI, we use it in a different way in my business. Like we use Otter, so all we're doing is transcribing what's real. We don't create anything. Nothing is created in my business using AI. It's enhanced with things like, i.e., obviously Canva, where the image gets enhanced and things like that. So it's very subtle. And everything I record is voice to text. So everything is still me and always will be. So I might put it through a spell checker that's maybe AI. I might put it through a sense checker, although God help us if I put it through a sense checker. It'll probably remove all the swear words for a start. I don't know. But yeah, so I think it's really important to keep yourself in the business. Very much the case. Exactly. In fact, I spend quite a lot of time, especially with bigger business owners that come for coaching when they're going next level, where they've had coaches that have got them to automate everything, and then they're not closing the sales. And so I firstly will look at the structure of that. You'd have a lovely time. You'd be like, oh, this is lovely. And we're like, well, there's none of you in that anywhere. So hang on, you're expecting that person to spend £5 with you. They've not even had a conversation with you. There's nothing about you in there. Yes, you've got loads of videos and lovely emails and lovely things in the sequence. Somewhere in that, and probably just there, we find the bit, there is where you have a conversation with them, because they'll have lots of questions, lots of fears, lots of stuff going on for them. And that's your job. That bit in the middle is also your job. And that makes a big difference. So I think you're right. There's lots of people stripping lots of stuff out because it automates it. You can scale it. It makes it quicker, doesn't it? It makes it easier for us. But it doesn't make it more...
we did it to a point in our manufacturing business that everything went to email because you need a paper trail. Because like people used to phone sometimes, say, can I have this? Well, if you were writing it down, who's to say whether they told you wrong or you wrote it down wrong? So ages ago, we stripped it out of like, no, you've got to email. But we are bringing back in the customer experience side, where when they inquire, we'll call them just to check if, ask random stuff that we might need to know, and just to say, thank you for the inquiry. But at first you think, oh no, that's like a backward step with technology, but they love it. They love it.
Because we're not used to it. It was horrible 8 years ago because we had to do it all the time, didn't we? But now it's a bit like when I receive a letter through the post. I'm like, oh, what's that? I mean, it's a bill essentially. Or
it's never good.
When local tradespeople or anything like that, gardeners and people that do DIY put a thing through my door, I'm like, I am more likely to use you because I'm not going searching for you. At best, I'm going on a Facebook group locally and saying, has anybody got an X? But actually, if you put a leaflet through my door, I'm interested in what that's about, really. So yeah, some of the old school stuff, which you and I definitely both know. We've been, I was brought up in old school marketing. Used to work for design and ad agencies all my life. So some of these strategies most definitely work now, and there's some organisations that still teach them, and I think that's great.
Because for the younger people, they don't know, do they? Do you know that if they've grown up in just Instagram?
Yeah, they don't know what a newspaper is. They don't know what a printer is. They don't it's not. Everything's just on. Everything's digital, isn't it? Everything is digital. Yeah, you ask a 19-year-old to print something, they kind of look at you like you've asked them to take their teeth out. Like it's crazy behaviour. So yeah, we're all a bit old school. I print everything. I'm terrible. Still print things. Still have this. The paper diary.
Oh wow! No, I've never been organised enough for that. I buy them. I bought one this year, and I did a bit of January.
I do have the business, but this is my own. I know what time I'm taking the dog out. I know where I'm going to the gym. I know everything. I know where we're going to Butlins Weekender. I know where we're going. I know what we're doing. So yeah. So you say world domination, but it's not world domination. You say you don't want a 7-figure business. You've avoided that question nicely. So what is in the future for you, our lovely Ms. Gordon?
Just to build on what we're already doing and help more people, but in that bespoke way. So for me, I really want to help the people that feel like business should be more simple than it is feeling at the moment. Because I think we overcomplicate a lot of business, and essentially business really is having a product or service that somebody wants to buy priced at a fair price and delivered well. And then you will just grow, you will get repeat. And I think we overcomplicate that a lot. So essentially, I want to help people that feel like there must be another way, or, you know, they're thinking of jacking it in and going and getting a job. That's really where I want to rescue people before they do that.
Okay, cool. Well, if you're at that stage and you think Tanya is the girl for you and you're fed up of wearing all the many hats, then reach out. There is a link under here where you can get involved and find out where she is. Follow her. Pretty sure she's everywhere. I feel sure. She's got a nice little Facebook group, but she doesn't want you to join it because there's only a little amount of people
Yeah,
in
you
there.
can only come in if you're really, really nice.
You're not coming in. Do you know what? I'm the same as well. Someone said to me, "Oh, you've only got 1,700 people or 1,800, I don't know, in your Facebook group." I said, "I know," and there's too many. I said I wasn't going to have more than 1,000, but it hasn't been going for like 9 years now, and every year it stretches by 100 essentially, or like I'm like, oh, I've definitely got a limit on it now. I'm like, no more than 2,000, no way, because you just don't get the engagement in there, do you? But yeah, it's an interesting one. We create our judgments based on this, don't they? Yes. I feel quite sure people have hired coaches because they've got Facebook groups with 30,000 people in them, and
yes, well, they'll never hire me for that because like you say, it's never going to happen.
No, I'd rather have a perfectly formed group of 100, in honesty, and you know, 20 of those were ideal clients. So I think people forget what they need. Like you say, that simplicity. They don't know what they need. They think they need big marketing tools when they need 5 clients. Like, it's just like, you know, the first thing is, what do you actually need? And I'm sure you do a similar thing. I think we're probably quite grounded and sort of, you know, very structured in that way of, yeah, you don't need to be posting 68 times a day. You don't. Just pick up the phone and ring one of those people on your list if they want to work with you. I mean, it's quite straightforward sometimes. I can do myself out of work. Just ring them and ask them. Just message them and go, look, I'm thinking about this. Do you fancy it? Yeah, they will.
Do you want to have a go? Do you want to have their trial of this? Because I'm bringing this out. Oh yeah.
I've just filled out 2 retreats doing that. I'm running a retreat on these days. Do you fancy it? What's in it? Oh, this. Yeah, brilliant. Send me the link. I could literally, it's like simple as that. I could have created
proper old school. It's just that the text new, isn't it? Because we didn't have Facebook Messenger back then, and now you have.
I didn't even have a landing page. Can you send me the details? Well, there aren't any really. All right, I'll have it then. I could have spent, you know, days creating a funnel and all the emails. There's not even an email saying thank you for booking. There's nothing. Here's the link. Here is the Stripe link with the how many payments and how much it is. That's it. It literally was old school. So yeah, sometimes old school works for that now.
And that's the thing, isn't it? Once trust and authority is built up, you can do that.
In fact, my first ever summit, I've got to share this before we go. My first ever summit, I used to run Coffee, Cake and Coaching. I still run it now, but it's in a different guise. There used to be about 30 women came to that every month, and then I ran a few of them. And then I decided, rather than running lots of little ones, I was going to run a bigger one because I thought it's good for my time. They'll all get to meet each other, and we'll get some speakers in. So probably one of the OG kind of big speaker events, I would imagine, certainly that people could afford to go to. And I thought, how am I going to convert them? So you're going to love this. So the 30 women that came, it was in the December, so everybody was quite high on Christmas, you know, as they do. And I had a clipboard with a piece of paper with some lines on it, and it had email address, interested, and a signature to say I could invoice them, right? And I just said, I'm going to run this event. It's 97 quid. I don't even know what the date is. This is the venue. If you want to come, put your thing here because there's only going to be this amount of tickets. And 29 of the people that were at that event wrote it down. So when I found the venue, I literally sent the invoice with the date and the venue on it, and every single one paid. And that's how I sold out the first 29 tickets of my
first. What a conversion rate as well. Let's just be honest.
If I'd have done a whole email sequence or a message, you know, it wouldn't have worked. You know, get people where they're hot. That is the advice there, isn't it? And some of the old school stuff is about that. So anyway,
old school's the best.
Right, we are the I don't know if you're Gen X. I'm definitely Gen X. We learn.
I need to check that. I don't think I am. I think I'm the next one. That's 87. I was born in 87.
Yeah, you're not. No, you're the next one.
But yeah. I was born in the wrong era, you see. I've always known that.
You do feel a bit Gen X-y, and it's not I'm not saying you look older than you are, but
yeah, everyone else does.
Whole, you know, old soul in a young body kind of thing. No, yeah, I definitely feel a bit Gen X.
Until I dyed my hair yesterday, I did look a little bit closer as well because I had quite a lot of greys.
Yeah, someone said, "Oh, that's your natural hair colour." I'm like, "No, it was.
Yeah, it used to be."
It's a lot of hair dyeing. Luckily married which makes my life much easier. But yeah, been lovely to have you here. And if you're listening and watching this and you want to have some fun, as you can hear, Tanya and I are both real people. Like, you know, there are some people that are untouchable that you can't chat to. You can speak to either of us about anything really that's going on, and we will probably overgive you whatever it is you need, because that's why we're in business. Essentially, we're certainly not in business to make shitloads of money, although we need the money because we like holidays and things. I feel sure we are not in it just for that. So I think it's something, you know, as I say often, transformational rather than transactional, and that's really important when you're looking for somebody to help you in your business. You don't just want them to take your money and run. You want them to be able to take interest and care about what's going on. So our lovely Tanya here is definitely one of those, one of my people without a shadow of a doubt. Thank you for being here, my lovely, and I wish you all the best with whatever's happening in September. If I can help in any way, because it all seems a bit cloak and dagger, but it sounds exciting. If I can help in any way, you know where I am. Just let me know.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me. I've loved it.
You're very welcome.